ATA for wearing a white dress to a wedding after being specifically requested to by the bride. When I was 5, we moved to a new neighborhood where our next-door neighbors had a girl my age named Bella. We connected immediately, and our friendship grew as thick as thieves. Our families were also close, enhancing the bond Bella and I shared. Years passed, and I moved a couple of hours away for college while Bella stayed home. She often visited, staying with me, and we always had a blast together. Then, during my sophomore year, I met Barrett in an econ class. He was a smart, attractive guy, and we discovered many mutual friends. We hooked up a few times after study sessions, but there was no long-term chemistry, so we decided to remain friends. Our relationship was never romantic, just friendly and casual. During our senior year, I introduced Bella to Barrett at a party, and for her, it was love at first sight. She interrogated me about him, and I told her everything about our past. Though she seemed upset initially, I assured her that there was nothing romantic between us and encouraged her to pursue him. They started dating officially after a few months, and Bella was over the moon. Seeing her so happy made me happy too. After graduation, I accepted a job 6 hours away from home. Bella and Barrett moved in together in my hometown. Initially, I visited them frequently, but as life got busier, our visits dwindled to annual holiday gatherings. Last Christmas, my family hosted a Christmas Eve party for both our families. During this party, Barrett proposed to Bella. It was a heartfelt proposal, and everyone was thrilled. Bella was ecstatic and couldn't stop talking about wedding plans throughout the holiday. We had a lot of fun brainstorming ideas together, and there were no signs of trouble. In the following months, I expected to be formally asked to be Bella's maid of honor, as she had mentioned over the holidays. However, the invitation never came. She started screening my calls. Eventually, I received a save the date in the mail, but still hadn't heard if I was in the wedding, so I called her to ask. Bella told me that she had thought it through and decided I shouldn't be in the wedding because I lived too far away. She believed it would make coordinating bridal events too difficult and chose her cousin, who she didn't even like, to be her maid of honor. I felt hurt being her closest and oldest friend and having introduced her to her fiancé. I offered to get time off work, buy plane tickets, and do whatever was required to participate. She shrugged it off and instead asked if I would be bringing a date to the wedding. Confused, as I had just gone through a bad breakup which she knew about, I told her I'd likely attend solo. She promised to keep my +1 open until the last minute and encouraged me to find a date so I wouldn't be lonely. I thought it was a kind gesture and reassured her that I'd be fine with my family and mutual friends present. The next few months passed without much communication from Bella. I was still hurt about not being in the wedding party and noticed on social media that she had an engagement party which I wasn't invited to. That also stung, but I kept silent, assuming we were just growing apart. It happens. Then, 6 weeks before the wedding, Bella called. She said one of her bridesmaids had dropped out and hoped I could fill in. I wouldn't attend the bridal events as they were already booked, but I would be in the wedding party. Thrilled and relieved, I accepted immediately. Bella explained that the bridal party would wear white, while she and the groom would wear black. Though unconventional, Bella always liked to stand out. She apologized for the late notice and asked if I could find a white dress. I already had a white slip dress, sent her a picture, and she approved it with a thumbs up on the text chain. On the wedding day, we were supposed to meet at the venue at 8 a.m. for hair and makeup. I left my parents' home early, dressed in sweats with my dress in a bag, and greeted Bella and the other girls. We enjoyed champagne and getting ready together. About 2 hours before the ceremony, Bella told us to change into our dresses for pictures. I went to the bathroom to change and tweak my makeup. When I returned, all the bridesmaids were in blue dresses. I was the only one in white. My stomach dropped. My mind raced back to the conversation with Bella. She had said white, right? I hadn't misheard. No, I was certain. This was a setup. Bella stood in the middle of the room in a bathrobe, looking resigned. She told her cousin, "I told you she was going to do something like this." Her cousin approached and asked what I was wearing. I mumbled that Bella had told me to wear white. Bella stared at me and huffed a laugh, saying something about how I always had to make things about me. Her cousin started screaming, accusing me of being jealous and in love with Barrett, calling me unhinged. I froze, unable to defend myself. Eventually, I stammered that I had another dress at my parents' house and could change. Bella replied coldly, "I think we both know this is the end of our friendship. I've given you too many chances. It's time for you to go." I started to cry, confused and hurt. I fled, leaving my things behind, and drove home, sobbing in the white dress. Half an hour later, my phone blew up with texts from almost everyone I knew, calling me bitter, a whore, and telling me to grow up. Even my mother texted, expressing disappointment. When my parents arrived home, the conversation was tense. My dad wouldn't look at me, and my mom didn't believe I'd been told to wear white. She mentioned ultimatums to Bella, which baffled me. It took hours to unravel the truth. Bella had been poisoning everyone against me for months, claiming I was mentally unstable and in love with Barrett. She fabricated stories, portraying herself as a patient, long-suffering friend. Finally, I showed my mom my text messages with Bella, proving the dress was approved and there were no ultimatums. My mom finally believed me and was horrified she had bought into Bella's lies. My dad was furious, and it took significant effort to calm him down. My mom still thought I was at fault for not confirming the dress code with other bridesmaids, but I never meant to hurt Bella. The next day, I sent screenshots of my call history and the dress approval text to multiple people. Unfortunately, as a graphic designer, people thought I had photoshopped the images. Only my parents and one bridesmaid believed me. The bridesmaid, Bella's college friend, contacted me privately, saying Bella had changed since a bad case of COVID, becoming cruel and self-absorbed. She planned to go no contact now that the wedding was over. So, out of hundreds, only 3 people believed me. My reputation was destroyed, my life in tatters. In the immediate aftermath of the wedding, I took people's advice and sent out a screen recording of my text messages with Bella, covering months of conversations to counter her narrative that I was unstable. The responses fell into 3 distinct camps. First were my high school friends. Most of them, being religious, had been thoroughly brainwashed by Bella. None took my side, except for the one bridesmaid who had already contacted me. Next were the college friends closer to me. They hadn't heard Bella's whisper campaign and accepted the evidence immediately. Several told me they had never really liked Bella and that she had badmouthed me behind my back. This was news to me, but also a relief, as these are the relationships I most want to preserve. It looks like I won't lose them. The college friends closer to Barrett didn't really care. Many of them are classic dude bros, averse to drama. While they're not hostile, they're not supportive either. I can live with that. As for Bella's nuclear and extended family, I've given up on them. During Christmas, I tried to speak to Bella's parents, who were like parents to me, but they wouldn't even open the door. I left a letter in their mailbox, but it went unacknowledged. Eventually, things settled into a new normal. I focused on my life, my work, and moving forward. During the holidays, I just hung out with my parents. Life was okay. Then, on January 1st, while resetting a password on an older email account I hadn't used in a while, I saw an email from my ex titled, "I win." The sight of it felt like a gut punch. Writing about it now still makes me freeze up. My ex, Matthew, had been the perfect boyfriend until he became extremely controlling after our first year of dating. He wanted to control everything about me: what I wore, what I ate, who I talked to, and what I posted on social media. He tore me down slowly and cunningly. When I discovered he was cheating, I managed to break free. The breakup was a nightmare. Matthew refused to allow me to break up with him. We were living together, and he installed tracking software on my phone and bugged my car. He had people at my job reporting on my movements. He held my dog hostage. The police were useless since he was never physically violent and careful not to write down threats. I was in hell for months, terrified he would show up again. I changed my job, number, address, email account, and made my social media profiles private. This old email account was the one place I forgot to block him. The I win email sent the day after the wedding revealed that Matthew had become close with Bella after our breakup. He called himself the architect of my demise and claimed he had fed Bella's paranoia about me and Barrett, planning my punishment together. He said I deserved to lose everyone important in my life and suggested we get back together, threatening more unfortunate incidents if I didn't. Reading that email shattered me. I fell apart for days. My mom helped me pull myself together. I told her about Matthew, and she connected me with a family friend, an attorney, who is now helping me file for a restraining order against Matthew. I tried before, but was denied because I couldn't afford an attorney. With the email evidence and proper legal representation, I hope to succeed this time. The hearing is in a couple of weeks via Zoom, and I'm terrified to see Matthew, even on a screen. If you read this, Matthew, please realize that I am not so terrified that I won't tase the fuck out of you if you ever come near me again. Once I felt safer, I realized I had proof that the wedding incident was a setup. Though ashamed of being in an abusive relationship, I couldn't bring myself to share it publicly. Instead, I forwarded it to Barrett with a brief explanation. Barrett didn't respond. I don't know what happened in his household afterward, but 2 nights later, Bella drunk drove to my parents' house. She ran over their mailbox while trying to park. When my parents answered the door, she started screaming about how I was a home-wrecking slut. From her drunken ramblings, my parents figured out that Barrett had left her. Her parents were called to collect her, looking extremely embarrassed. While some might celebrate Bella's downfall as karma, I don't. Matthew is a monster, and I know firsthand how charming and convincing he can be. Bella, like I did, fell for his act. Her happiness was destroyed by him too, but she also made her choices, and I'm not reconciling with her either. My top priority is my safety, and anyone connected to Matthew is someone I need to avoid. Bella will have to find her own path to recovery. A position opened on my team in another country. It's a managerial role, which would be a promotion for me, and my boss thinks I should apply. Though it would mean being even farther from my folks, moving to a new country might help me feel safer. That might be what's next for me.